Hey guys, welcome to Choke Points. And in this video, we are going to talk about BRICS direction. BRICS direction? What does that mean actually? See, the thing is this. For quite some time, if you notice that BRICS has been expanding. It started from a five-member block, then became 10, then 20, now it's 20. And then it's not just that there is 10 member or 20 member block. When BRICS meetings happen or organized, there are lots of other countries that participate into it too, right? And this block got bigger too faster, and there are too many countries right now even showing interest into it. But if you look into it, then you find that there is a thing that's called cohesion that's missing in the BRICS block. Because and this is something that has been actually brought up by lots and lots of BRICS critics that are out there. And this is something that BRICS is working to fix or to address this thing. And this is what BRICS is calling the second stage of expansion. All right. So what happened? What's happening here, right? So what's happening is that stage one was about or is about adding members, and stage two is about making the block usable, right? Because members join, but if we ask each other, let's ask each other this question very simply, okay? Honest question, that what is BRICS good for? If a member joins, let's say Nigeria became BRICS full member, hmm? So what's the benefit that Nigeria is getting out of BRICS? Or what is BRICS speciality here? I mean, Nigeria can trade with other BRICS countries just the same way outside of BRICS bloc too. Why Nigeria has to join BRICS in order to trade with India? Now, why I am saying all this? This is the key here, right? Why I am saying all this? So, why I'm saying all this is because when the tariffs hit, okay, when the tariffs hit, then BRICS bloc did organize some meetings and all that. They did meet. They talked about lots of things, but nothing concrete came out of it. Okay, and then also there were few summit meetings, and there were certain declarations that needed to be signed. Then countries like Ethiopia and Egypt, they were disagreeing with each other, so they were just not signing the declaration over their petty differences. So these are the kind of things that the the main leadership, the founding leadership of BRICS looked into, and they observe all these things, and they're like, okay, I think it's time. I mean, they think that it's time for BRICS to move into the second phase of expansion. That is, instead of adding more members, let's come up with the rules and regulations and um certain things that BRICS has to offer, meaning that when a country joins BRICS, or wants to become the member of the BRICS, then BRICS can say that, hey, this is what we have to offer, as in BRICS exclusive free trade agreement, probably, or BRICS exclusive supply chains where if BRICS members use that supply chain, there will be no tariffs or there will be no fees or anything for them, those type of things. Okay, and so this is where what the BRICS direction is all about. The BRICS direction is about the second phase of development. All right, second phase of BRICS evolution. Let's call that. All right. So this is what we are going to talk about in this video today. So please stay with me till the end because it's not going to be very long video. All right, with 20-25 minutes, give take probably. And yeah, please do like and subscribe. So let's get started. Let's get going and see what exactly it is, because this is going to be interesting, and interesting in the sense that this is something that BRICS was supposed to address for a while ago. Okay, so let's look at this. All right, now Now let's look into the main thing. Okay, one. So let me share my screen right here. Okay. So what happened is the BRICS entered second stage of expansion. Russia's BRICS Sherpa Sergei Rabakov confirmed on Tuesday that the alliance has entered the second stage of expansion. He did not reveal a specific timeline for when the bloc intends to invite new countries into the grouping. We have now entered, I believe, the second stage of expansion. He is saying this thing because India has actually shown some concern over this whole thing, the rapid expansion. When in 2024, Russia was working to expand the BRICS bloc. So India said that, yeah, that's fine. We are expanding. It's okay. But until we figure out the proper framework for BRICS to function as a cohesive unit, it's no point in just keep on adding members as a head count. Though that head count has to have a meaning. Okay, so this is on that reference. Sergei Rabakov is basically he's saying this thing. I will not speculate here about when, who, and in what capacity we will have further rapprochement with BRICS. Said Rabakov to a PIR senator. PIR senator, he was being interviewed by them. Okay, now, the BRICS Sherpa also highlighted Indonesia's ascension to the alliance via expansion in 2025. It was promptly embarked on cooperation in all areas. Now, if you notice that as soon as Indonesia joined, Indonesia just recently has actually contributed $1 billion to NDB, the National Development Bank, and is making a valuable and effective contribution. Now, another thing that Indonesia is doing is that Indonesia is actually partnering with India in the Indian Ocean region around the for the patrolling of Malacca Strait. All right. Now, but here's the thing, though. Indonesia could have done that without being in the BRICS. Indonesia doesn't have to do any of that by being in the BRICS. Okay, and this is where the thing is that then what is this? What is that special thing that BRICS has to offer that other countries? I mean, the countries that are member of BRICS were not doing before joining BRICS, right? And so countries that join the BRICS, they have to see some sort of difference, right? They have to see something, and the expectation has to be met uh, when they join, right? They can say proudly that, yeah, yes, we are part of BRICS. Now, I'll get into more detail of it, all right? Now, I would say this: the integration of the newcomers has already been successfully completed, given the results they are demonstrating. The alliance is now a 10 member block, full member block, with Indonesia joining in January this year. Okay. The Sherpa said the BRICS has grown stronger after the recent strings of expansion and making their relations more financially sustainable. I think everyone can see and notice how BRICS is functioning in its expanded form. There can be no criticism here. Practical results are reflected in the final documents. It is enough to look at lengthy declarations of the leaders adopted in Kazan 2024 and in Rio de Janeiro 2025. It's clear what has been done and what will be done next. He summed it up. Okay. So practical results are reflected in the final documents, meaning that they're talking about the practical aspect of it, that yes, enough document has been written, enough things have been said, but it's time to get practical. All right. So because whenever BRICS members are joining, so they're saying that, hey, we are joining BRICS, but I think membership is just not enough at this point. So if you look into it, then why membership is not enough? See, most members, they actually traded already globally before joining BRICS. BRICS didn't create their trade. That's number one point, right? Then point number two is that joining doesn't automatically reroute the invoicing, insurance, shipping, or banking. And if you look into it, then uh, BRICS doesn't have its own maritime shipping or insurance or invoicing thing right now, right? Yeah, BRICS may they may so when they create BRICS, so BRICS has to have these type of things. If they don't, then you cannot. You are just, you're just bunch of like bunch of stray dogs together, just barking but doing nothing. Hmm? So that's what BRICS sounds like sometimes. That the form a group, oh, yeah, we will do. But actually, when it comes to doing something, then the result is always just the individual effort. And that's about it, nothing else. Okay. At best, what BRICS has done so far, okay, so far that is actually visible on the ground, is some number one bunch of group meetings, and uh, they still adhere to each other's on when it comes to the unity. Okay, and so with that, what they show is that, yeah, BRICS members are not isolated. Okay, you are isolated when you are standing in a herd. It's just like, herd. Have you guys seen a herd? What happens in the herd? Lions or the hunters, basically lions. Let's say lions. When you lions see this herd of zebra, so when they chase, what happens? All the zebras, they just run away, and lion just hunts down one, and that's it. So so BRICS concern is that, hey, instead of becoming that herd, hmm, instead of becoming that herd of zebras, I think it's time to figure things out so that they don't fall prey to a lion. So instead of, so her being a herd is just not enough, is what BRICS is saying. So then other thing is, like, look into the existing like settlement rails, right? They stay dominant because they are liquid, familiar, and scalable. But BRICS doesn't have that yet. A give take, if you look into it closely, out of those 10 BRICS countries, uh, I would say India, Russia, China, hmm, then uh, you have Nigeria is there, then Indonesia, a couple of other countries give take, they trade in national currencies. And even then also, if you look into it, even then also, India, China doesn't have any trade in national currencies. India, Nigeria may have, but India, China doesn't have any trade in national currency. Russia, India has a trade in national currency, and even that, then also, if you look into it, then you find that most of it is because India is importing Russian oil. Out of the $60 billion trade that India and Russia, they both brag about, that, oh, we have $60 billion trade between us, this, that, blah, blah, blah. But the reality of it is that out of the 65 billion dollar trade, actually it is 65 billion, out of which India imports $60 billion worth of stuff from Russia and exports only $5 billion worth of stuff. And Russians just whenever Russians have to do something, they just, oh, 1971, we are friends, this, that. But the ground reality is that Russians became friends with India in early days, actually. Not because not because they loved India or something, because it was because they didn't want to be completely surrounded. It was that simple. It was a national security threat to them. So it was meaning that it was only Soviet Union's interest, because of which actually Russians were inclined towards India. All right. And even today also, that's the primary reason, even though Russian media basically portrays it like they are doing some sort of favor to India. But it's actually mutual. There is, if because see, the problem with Russians is that Russians cannot afford to lose India, because if they lose India, then Russia will have so national security threat that and I think Russians understand this thing way more than Russian enemies, quite frankly. Okay. So, anyways, coming to the point. The point is that um, so all this trade and all this talk that is there, the give take, it is between three or four countries. Okay, out of those 20 countries, only I would say 4 or 5 countries did they even trade in national currencies. So, and interesting thing is that there are lots of experts on YouTube who keep saying that, oh, de-dollarization is happening, dollar is gonna collapse, and this and that. But reality is this. Reality is the dollar, even if dollar will collapse, let's say that, okay, let's just say, okay, America's economy is not doing good. That's for sure. But dollar will collapse. Not it's not dollar will never collapse because of BRICS. I can guarantee you that. Or dollar will never collapse because of de-dollarization. Dollar will collapse simply because dollar will lose its trust as a reserve currency. And why it will lose its trust as a reserve currency? Because US government will be printing so much. It has printed the dollar, that supply and demand. So when you start to print a currency so much into the market, then that currency loses its value. Okay, ultimately it will become a paper. So slowly and slowly, as the national currency trade will grow, dollar will lose value. But the trade in national currency is not de-dollarization. All right. Anyway, so this is why membership is not enough. Why? Because BRICS is not offering anything concrete where they can say that, yeah, this is the benefit of BRICS. They say a couple of things are there, like for example, uh, currency reserves. What was that? They have NDB first, and NDB is there. Then they have contingency reserves. CRA program is there to save the countries from from defaulting in when it comes to uh, the debt servicing or loan servicing. So this is why membership is not enough. Okay, so stage 2 for BRICS challenge, the biggest challenge for BRICS in stage 2 will be to converting this membership into a what? Into a proper economic and technological, and I would say any other behavior that BRICS can say with confidence that, yeah, this is what we have to offer, right? So that's another challenge that BRICS has to address in the BRICS 2026 summit. That is the onus on India at this point, that they have to actually figure this out. And this is why India's Prime Minister Modi, he actually said this thing in the Rio de Janeiro summit. He said that India will redefine the BRICS. I think it's time for us to redefine BRICS, and there will be a new BRICS. Okay. Now, so let's move forward, and then we will talk about it. All right. Now, all this thing that I said, right? All these things I said, but this happened. Why all this thought happened? The where the pressure came from for all this, right? So the pressure came from number one thing. Well, let me share my slide real quick. Okay. So the pressure came from the tariffs. All right. So it all started from the tariffs, and when Brazil was tariffed 50% tariff, India was tariffed 50%. Now, when both countries were tariffed like that, Brazil immediately organized the meeting. All some BRICS members they joined. In fact, not all the BRICS members joined. Only few full member: China, Russia, Indonesia, India's external minister went there. It was online meeting, and few others joined. But in meeting also, they didn't. They none of them actually could come up with a way that, hey, how do we help Brazil, or how do we help India in this whole thing? It was all just talks. They all gave their statements. Some gave anti-America in statements. Some were like hegemon statement. The usual talks, basically the usual barking from outside. That's what they did, and that was concerning. That, hey, yes, all this talk about breaks and all these things is there, but when time came to do something, then nothing. Look at China, for example. China is still buying. China has committed to buying the soybean from US, whatever futures is. So how all these trading works is that at least agricultural crops is the future trading. Okay, so if so they have to commit to the crop or the harvest for next 6 months, like that. All right. So if they back out, then the farmers lose the money. Okay. So So China, whatever commitment China made 6 months ago, China has to abide by it. All right. So that's what China is doing. So so China is already buying, all right. And now look at Russians. Russians were talking all the smack, but they never started to import. They never opened their market for India. So now in that meeting, when the BRICS meeting happened, the emergency meeting, then in that emergency meeting, India openly and with a very serious poker face, India's external minister said that even the BRICS partners, we do sit here and we talk about all, the American hegemony and this and that. We blame others for all these things, but when it comes to opening the market for our own BRICS members, we don't do that. So how can we really trust that, yeah, BRICS has to do something, or BRICS is good and this and that? That was a very serious liner. And so Russians like, okay, this that we are going to open market, and these are the things we can buy from India, this and blah blah blah. Basically, Russians simply were not opening their market under Chinese pressure. China wanted to maintain their monopoly in Russian market. All right. So finally, Russians are like, okay, so we have identified 300 products, and so now Russia is going to open its market for India. So it will be like almost Indian export to Russia will be $10 billion from five. Big whoop-de doo. So so India is going to put more pressure on this whole thing, that you need to do better. 10 billion is not enough. The trade balance of trade should be even, pretty much. And or basically plus minus 20% is the actual standard globally, that if you maintain the balance of trade in the plus minus 20% of the deficit or the excess or the surplus, then it's okay. But anything beyond 20% is a problem. All right, meaning that if you are doing $100, if the $100 trade is there, then you can have at least $20 plus minus here and there, meaning that 60-40, right? 60-40 or 40-60, well, like that. That's where it is good. But anything below that, good luck. No, that's not gonna work. All right. So what does that mean? It means that if they're doing $60 billion, let's say they're doing $60 billion trade, then if you take um, out of that 20% of 60 billion, so that's like what? So 12 billion, right? So India still has to increase its um, increase its trade at least 15 billion to $20 billion. When it is there around $20 billion, India can say that, yeah, okay, we are okay in that range. India may not put too much pressure after that, but still they need to do that, right? Anyways, so so when members join, the members say that members want resilience, right? They don't want symbolism. That's what happened. The meetings, emergency meetings, talk, this, that, all this is just symbolism. Like Kazan Summit, 2024 Kazan Summit, it was all symbolic. What was that? They unnecessarily printed a BRICS currency, fake BRICS currency, and then everybody was just showing, oh, look, BRICS currency is coming up. And then people started to write bullshit articles. They wrote bullshit articles, um, saying that, oh, the unit is. I mean, if I start to tell you about how many BRICS currencies so far has been discussed, you'll be surprised, and none of them has actually materialized. It's just the copy paste of one article into 10 different websites. That's all it is. Okay, the unit, sometimes XRP, sometimes BRICS hard currencies, can gold back BRICS currencies coming. Then BRICS Pay was there. BRICS Pay is actually a reality. Okay, but BRICS currency is not gonna be the way they're saying. Okay, it's gonna be different. We'll talk about that some other time. But right now, uh, so they say BRICS Pay will come, but nothing happened. It was all symbolic. They just talked about it, and then when President Trump came into power, immediately BRICS are like, "Oh no, we are not talking about. We are not working against dollar. We are all good. We are all friends. We just talking, man. We got this." So all that, the tone immediately changed. Okay, and that's where the problem is, that because of your own core interest, you're trying to change the tone of the whole entire thing, the purpose. Okay, and So expect because of all this tone that was set in 2024, because that's when the major expansion happened. So expansion actually created the higher expectations that if we are bigger, then why aren't we more usable? Why aren't we more effective, right? So that's where the problem has been. This is why that's how the pressure comes in, that tariffs, then resiliency is not there, then the whole bunch of headcounts are there, but nothing is useful, right? So so the question really is, there are lots of things. Number one is, can BRICS reduce friction between firms and banks? Can BRICS have its own rock solid supply chain, where where Russian ships are not getting bombed or something? And can BRICS afford to provide the proper security in that situation? Right now, I'm just telling you the latest is that Russian ships, the crude oil ships, so-called shadow fleet, also again, shadow fleet is a western term. What a western term created by the western insurance companies. Okay, shadow fleet means nothing actually. Shadow fleet is just western insurance companies saying that, hey, this ship is not insured by us, we don't know about it, meaning we don't have any responsibility of that ship. That's all they say. So they call it shadow fleet, meaning that, oh, this is something, so meaning it doesn't belong to us, we can destroy it or whatever. That's the whole thing. Okay, meaning if you're not with us, against this type of situation. Now so this is how the pressure was. All right, the whole thing started from all that. That was an eye opener moment. All right, now why again the eyes are opening? Because nothing has happened against Russian sanctions. Only India and give take China, probably few other CFC5 countries that are there. They are working. So Russians are give take trading with 20 to 30 countries in national currencies. All right, and China is doing the same thing, but China still has most of its trade in dollars. Okay, and people say that China is the backbone of BRICS and this and that, and China is doing this. But in reality, China is the only BRICS member actually that trades in dollar for the most part. And then all these Palestinian supporters, they blame India, that India is the weak link in the BRICS. So anyways, so the direction is, uh, they have to take that direction, meaning that they have to move forward and come up with ways to improve their BRICS trade. They have to come up with the incentive, maybe like BRICS's own free trade agreement. But how they're going to do that, I don't know, because of the too many frictions within the countries. So if they could come up with a BRICS FTA, meaning if you join the BRICS bloc, then you are automatically um, uh, party to that thing, that you are going to be part of that BRICS free trade agreement. That's your biggest incentive. Hmm? So those type of things they will have to come up with. Now, why though? The question is that why all this is so hard? It's hard because it's not about the countries choosing the settlement or anything. It's the firms that choose the settlement based on cost, speed, and control, contract risk, and all that, right? Then other thing is the banks optimize for what? Liquidity, and then spreads, compliance, all these things, right? Then currency usage is there. Currency usage also depends on the market depth, right? If how deep the market is, how much a currency is acceptable in certain markets and whatnot, right? Now let's say if India decides to trade in national currency with Singapore is not going to do that, because Singaporean market is mostly dollar based. They may agree to it for certain cases, but that's about it. And once again, I have explained this thing on my Spotify a lot, that uh that when we talk about de-dollarization, when we talk about the trade in national currencies, all that is done at the trader level. You don't do anything at the government level. Government makes those policies depending on the trade. It's not the other way around. Okay, so if traders are saying that, hey, We have $100 billion trade with United States. We cannot just end that. Then government is going to listen to that. It's $100 billion. So this is why it becomes so hard to really implement certain things, certain rules and regulations within the BRICS bloc, because each of these countries have gotten used to, their traders have gotten used to the old system. It will take a while for them to really find a backup plan. Not just used to, I mean, when you build your whole entire $1 billion business on the old system, then yeah, it's not that easy to migrate from the old system to a a I would say temporary new system. Okay, it costs money for traders, right? So and trade, and then also they lose customers as well. They have to find new customers, and the old customer is gone, then new customers, you don't know what they're going to do. It's a new competition, new market, and new customer demand. All that you have to study, you have to do all that feasibility study and everything from the get go. So that's why it becomes very hard to for BRICS to make these rules, right? And governments can incentivize all those things, but they cannot mandate the routine private behavior, right? So this is why India is also having hard time in fighting the $80 billion trade with the trade tariff and all that with US. So far they're just looking for alternatives here and there, but still, $80 billion is $80 billion. You cannot change that, right? So how do you do that thing? That's the next question, right? How BRICS can create usage, or how BRICS can become more useful for its own members, and what how BRICS can actually come up with the ways to offer more things, offerings, or have more offerings for BRICS members, right? So let me share my slide on this thing too. So basically, what they can do is build alternative mechanism that lower the friction, not just announce alternatives, right? Then expand local currency settlement frameworks where liquidity and hedging can follow, right? Then make the new development bank a repeat lender tied to real project pipeline. NDB does that really well, but NDB is quite small compared to your World Bank and IMF. All right. Then uh, use a tier network approach to scale participation. All right, meaning the core members plus partners, and then develop a practical platform like commodity training, payment links, standards, and keep that works. And what doesn't work, just get rid of it. Like for example, I mean, when Africa can do it, then BRICS can definitely do it. All right. Africa has its own PACOMs. Africa has its own grain exchange. Africa has its own entire digital currency network. Africa is working on pan African connection, the highway and all that highway connectivity. Entire corridor is Africa is working on. So that's what BRICS needs to do. Those are the kind of things. And so so what happened, like for example, when President Putin actually visited in December, and I think that this is where things are now headed. All right, when India takes over the BRICS presidency next year, then India's primary goal, India has few agendas, right? Number one is their digital public infrastructure, introduction of the sustainability, then resilient supply chain, innovation, AI, all that. But if you look into it, when President Putin visited India, then what happened? They talked about INSTC. They talked about Vladivostok Chennai corridor. They talked about your digital currency trade and all that. So you will see when next year, when you will see all these things happening, and these are the things that's gonna make BRICS independent. And India has started to offer its digital public infrastructure to other BRICS members too. Like Prime Minister Modi, he visited Ethiopia. That's where he said that, yeah, let's do that. Then he went to talk to Jordan, also the same thing. Oman, he just signed the free trade agreement with Oman. So don't be surprised if you see some of these countries like Jordan and Oman joining BRICS next year. Okay. And also, he met with Ethiopia's prime minister as well. All that good stuff happened. And they talked about BRICS as well. So the real question is that Ethiopia is already a full member. What is in there to talk about? So clearly, Ethiopia has the African Union headquarters too. So there is a possibility um, that BRICS may invite the entire African Union as a partner state or whatnot. Why? Because once BRICS enters the African market, then lots of things can be addressed. All right, and then they can utilize it. Will help in BRICS in financial infrastructure as well, and that's something that BRICS has to address, right? For example, settlement, finance, fintech. Then you have your technologies. Then you have supply chain. Supply chain part was already discussed, right? um, so we will see connectivity between BRI and INSTC and IMEC and all that. So all these corridors are being worked on now, and now these governments are very serious about it. So that's the direction that BRICS is taking at this point. All right, and this is where things are headed. So this is it for this video, guys. I hope you learned something, you liked it. Please do like and subscribe, and I will talk to you guys in another video. Take care.